Hello everybody. I want to talk about crafting the right idea and the right argument. We aim to make the right decisions, and whether they be in our personal or professional realm, there are often significant barriers that impact our ability to do so. Some of the more prominent including emotions and assumptions. What are assumptions? Assumptions are those taken for granted values, common sense ideas. They come from our experience and they pretend to be givens rather than well-supported arguments. What makes assumptions difficult to detect are that they are implied rather than expressed. Therefore, we usually are not consciously aware of them. But they remain influences on our decisions because if you base your opinions and thoughts on assumptions and your assumptions prove incorrect, then your overall argument will also be incorrect. Assumptions aren't always bad. We actually all assume on a daily basis in order to function properly. For example, when you buy a new car, you assume that it'll run without problems, at least for a while. When you go to sleep at night, you assume your alarm clock will wake you up in the morning. The problem with assumptions is that they make us feel comfortable with our personal beliefs and also our personal opinions, and they keep us from thinking about alternatives. We stop thinking and we just follow our unfounded assumptions. Emotions, too, can be a critical barrier to constructive thoughts. Most define them as some kind of mental state that arises spontaneously, as Webster's dictionary does, rather than consciously. The emotions of joy and sorrow, reverence, hate, and love are some examples. In general, it's an outward manifestation of our feelings. Rousseau, the great philosopher, said, "I feel before I think." He also said, "I felt before I thought." E. Cummings also said, "Feelings is first." So, in our culture we state, leave emotions out of it. Clearly, though, the latter perspective is impossible. Emotions and feelings are important aspects of the human experience, and they're part of everything we do and everything we think. Emotions can affect and inspire thought, so says William James, but they can also destroy it. We all have personal barriers, enculturations, ego defenses, self-concepts, and biases that are shaped by our exposure to culture and genetic events and forces. But to the critical thinker, personal barriers are not walls, they're just merely hurdles. Critical thinkers do not ignore or deny emotions, as with other forces of influence of our thinking, but they manage and they accept them. To a great extent, reasoned judgment is the ability to detect and analyze the assumptions and emotions that underlie our actions, decisions, and judgments. We should be aware and constantly verify our assumptions, control our emotions, and in doing so, we should also know the facts, ask what we're missing, and then let the evidence and research guide our decisions. Remember the importance of critical thought. The importance is to come to a critical and right conclusion. If you've done your research and control the often significant barriers through the process, you may then be led to a decision that stands the test of time. Thanks, everybody.